So everybody, in this video what I'm going to do is talk about three different things. First off, we're going to review KLM's business class from Amsterdam over to New York City and let you guys know exactly what I think about it. Number two, I'm going to talk about how I actually booked this with points and how to earn those points. And number three, I'm going to finally show you how to actually redeem those points for this luxurious business travel, and instead of spending $5,000 to $10,000 for a one-way ticket, only spending a fraction of the cost to I believe $200 to $300. But without further ado, let's get right into this video and talk about KLM Business Class. So KLM Business Class has been on my bucket list for a while now because it's known as one of the best European airliners to be able to fly internationally over to the US, and that's exactly what we did. Now, I'm going to be painting a very perfect picture because not only did we fly KLM Business Class, but we also flew in one of their newer planes, which I believe was a 787-10, which does give you that 1-2-1 configuration, so you can fly solo on one of the window seats, or you can fly with somebody else in the middle seats and be able to kind of almost have your own little private room, even though it is in the actual room like we do see in some other airlines. And then not only did we get one of the newer planes, but then we also flew out of KLM's headquarters, which is out of Amsterdam Airport, so we got to see the Amsterdam Lounge, which we will talk about in a future video, so definitely stay subscribed to the channel. But we got to see pretty much what KLM has to offer at its best case scenario, which is flying out of Amsterdam Airport, seeing the lounge, getting that best service, getting that homegrown love, and all those good things. But I do want to focus on the flight itself. So as I mentioned, this plane was a 1-2-1 configuration, and we took the two middle seats so we can kind of be together, even though we both prefer window seats when we're flying solo. We do like to sit next to each other when we are flying together, so being able to sit in the two middle seats and having that 1-2-1 configuration was definitely a nice thing to have. And one of the nicer things is that we do have a divider on there that can be actually moved up and down if you are traveling alone, but you do get a middle seat, quote unquote, on this business class flight. But when you go onto the plane, you are greeted by the flight attendant, and they walk you right to your seat, and they offer you a walk-on beverage, which is water, some orange juice, or you can even have champagne or beer. We obviously opted for the Heineken because we were in Amsterdam, but you're also given a pillow, a blanket, and a nice little amenity kit that you'll be able to use throughout the entire flight. So the seat itself is very comfortable, and it's pretty much a pretty standard business class seat, especially on the newer end. So it has all the little things that you would definitely want out of a business class seat. So you have your own personal outlet, you have your own personal USB port to be able to charge all your devices. So if you do have something that you want to charge, by all means you'll be able to get that stuff done. You have a little cubby where they do house the actual headphones themselves, and that's where I ended up putting some other things like a bottle of water that they do include, as well as the amenity kit when I was done with it. You have a cubby for your actual feet, so when you are laying flat, you're able to put your feet and extend all the way out. And I'm about 5'11", and I had no problem reaching all the way out. So if you are probably 6'2" or 6'3", maybe you will be touching the end of it. But again, if you're under that 6'2" height, you'll be perfectly fine in terms of the actual length of the seat itself when you are laying flat. And it also acts as a great little footstand when you are sitting down. And then you do have all your controls on your left-hand side, depending on what seat you're sitting on, but for me it was on the left-hand side, and it gives you all the different options. You have three predetermined ones, which is your takeoff and landing position. You have your kind of like a lounge position as well, so you're able to lay back a little bit, and then you obviously have your lay flat option as well, but of course you can kind of go in between all those different settings to find your perfect comfort depending on what situation you're in. Now, we were flying during the middle of the day, so I believe we took off at around 3 p.m. Amsterdam time and flew across the Atlantic back to New York City, so we were going, I guess, backwards in time, so there was no overnight kind of service, and I'm not 100% sure if they do maybe set up a bed for you if you are flying overnight or anything like that, but that's something to take note of. If you are flying during the day, they're not going to offer to make your bed or anything like that, so keep that in mind if you are looking for that type of service. And then you also have an actual controller to control your entertainment system, which is a perfect entertainment system for what you want. They don't have a gigantic selection of movies. I've probably seen some other ones that have more selection, but we were able to watch a movie together, and there was plenty of movies to keep us entertained during the 8-hour flight. And then lastly, you are given some noise-canceling headphones, which we did use, and they were extremely comfortable. And then in terms of food and beverages, obviously with business class flights, you do get a nice little menu to decide on exactly what you want. There were about 3 or 4 different main course options. You had some appetizers as well, like cheese and fruit, bread. And then you also had the ability to order pretty much whatever you wanted from a beverage standpoint, from fountain drinks to water, to alcoholic beverages and everything in between. For this particular flight, since it was an 8-hour flight, you were given 2 actual meals. The first one was kind of like this lunch dinner kind of meal, so there was like this braised beef, there was some chicken, some rice, and then of course some other kind of side items that were there, which was all very delicious. All the actual silverware was made out of metal, which is cool to see, so it's always a nice little touch to see those little things happen, so you're not just... So you do feel like you're having a premium experience, which I definitely felt like I was. And then you're also given another meal right before landing, which was, I believe, about an hour before. But since we were flying kind of at the end of the night, this was another kind of like lunch/dinner meal. So KLM has 2 claim to fame. First off is going to be their house chocolate. So they do walk around a couple times during the flight and offer you these either milk, white, or dark chocolate houses in kind of that style of Amsterdam. Very beautiful. I think I had like 5 or 6 of them throughout the entire flight. They were very, very good. The dark chocolate was my favorite. But then secondly, if you are flying business class, they do give you a nice little porcelain house that you're able to then take home with you. Now these are technically collectibles. The KLM does have a bunch of them, and they do tell you to collect them all if you fly business class very often. Fortunately, we don't fly business class too often. This is kind of a once in a lifetime situation, but it is nice to know that you do get this at the end of a flight if you are flying business class. And a little surprise for you, it is filled with gin. So if you do open it, you can't reseal it, but there is about an ounce or two of gin inside of this little house that you're all able to drink. We did not actually open them up. We just actually saved both of them and put them up in our house. But overall, it was very comfortable. I have very little complaints, if any. They brought all the beverages when you wanted to. They were very attentive. Everybody was very nice. I didn't feel unwelcomed or anything like that. The food was very good. I just do wish the selection for the food was a little bit more vast. I wish there was a little bit more that you could choose from, or maybe there was a couple of other snacks that we could have picked. They did lay out some snacks like some bags of chips, some stroop waffles and things like that, but there wasn't kind of like an on-demand snack. I'm sure if I asked for something, they maybe would have made it, but it wasn't something that was blatantly offered from the very beginning. So now let's talk about earning points to be able to book this thing. Because again, this is, I believe, was like a $9,000 flight for a one-way ticket for one person, which is absolutely absurd for a business class flight. But we actually booked it for less than $300 per person by just paying taxes and fees, and then using points to book the actual tickets. Now to earn these points, it's actually Air France and KLM is very simple because first off, Air France and KLM use Flying Blue points, so if you transfer your points over to Flying Blue or KLM, you can still use them for each one of those airlines and not have to like transfer them between the two. It's just one big currency and one big ecosystem. But to earn these Flying Blue points is probably one of the easier ones when it comes to these transfer partners because basically everybody transfers to Air France and KLM. So you have Bilt points, you have American Express, you have Chase Ultimate Rewards, you have Capital Miles, you have Citi Thank You points. For the most part, unless there's maybe some outlier out there, everybody transfers to Flying Blue, and they transfer at a 1-to-1 rate, with some places having some bonuses. Like with this one, we did transfer it during a Bilt bonus that gave us a 150% transfer bonus. So I believe we transferred like 35,000 Bilt points, and we ended up getting like 100,000 actual Flying Blue points, which was absolutely amazing. And I don't see getting that type of value. That happens pretty much once a year. Now this particular flight was 55,000 Flying Blue points per person, and it was a direct flight from Amsterdam over to JFK. We tried very hard to find a direct flight from Amsterdam over to Newark, which is my local airport that's only about a 10-minute drive away, versus JFK is about an hour, but we were not able to find it. They do have them, but they're very, very rare to find, especially when you do want to maximize your points and only spend 55,000 Flying Blue points, because that is the smallest amount of points you can pay when it comes to flying from Amsterdam over to the US and only using Flying Blue points. I'm a big fan of the Chase Ultimate Reward portal and that Chase ecosystem, so definitely take advantage of those, and I'll leave some credit cards down below because right now the Chase Sapphire Preferred is offering a sign-up bonus of 75,000 points after spending $4,000 over the first 3 months, which is more than enough to book a one-way ticket from the US over to Amsterdam on KLM business class. And then you can use the leftover 20,000 points to fly yourself back home in economy with, I believe, only 15,000 points if that's something that you want to get into. But to book these points, we did use Bilt because there was that crazy one-time bonus from Bilt to transfer over at 150%, which is something that I've never seen before, so we definitely took advantage of that. And then to book it, to find out those dates, what I like to use is a website called seats.aero. I am not affiliated with them whatsoever. I actually paid $10 a month just to be able to use their lifetime service and to be able to search things 1 year out. So definitely recommend if you guys are looking to actually book a trip in the future, seats.aero is a great starting point to let you know exactly what's available across all the different airlines and all the different systems. But once I found the actual flight that we want to book, then we transferred over those points that we needed, and we needed 110,000 KLM Flying Blue points to book for 2 seats, one way from Amsterdam over to JFK. Now, the taxes and fees with Flying Blue are a little bit on the higher side, about $330 per person. But again, it's hard to complain spending $650, $660 for 2 business class tickets to fly extremely comfortably, be able to sleep, lay flat, watch movies, get fed, go through the lounge access, and everything is pretty much taken care of. So paying $600 for 2 business class seats back to the US from Amsterdam is something that I'm definitely willing to pay. And like I mentioned, there are economy flights that are way more affordable on the taxes and fees front, which is something that you should definitely take advantage of if you are using Flying Blue. For instance, you can spend 30,000 points round trip from the US over to France or US over to Amsterdam and spend less than $200 in taxes and fees to get you over there, which is something that is very, very competitive. But that's going to do it for this video, everybody. If you enjoyed videos like this one, leave a little dolphin in the comments down below so that I know you made it to the end. And let me know in the comment down below if you like the structure of these videos, right? What I wanted to do here is review the business class to let you guys know exactly what we experienced, and then let you guys know how to actually book that without spending a fortune on these business class seats. Because again, I don't really know how many people actually pay for these business class seats, but they're absolutely absurd. Thank goodness for points and miles to be able to get us through this and be able to experience this kind of aspirational travel. And we're already working on our next one because we did just recently sign up for the business cash card from Chase to be able to get their sign-up bonus to then book an additional trip probably later this year to fly business again. So if you guys want to learn more about how to book this aspirational travel with miles and points, definitely subscribe to the channel. We're looking to get to 1,000 subs here soon, but that's going to do it for this video. If you want to watch more videos like this one, click on one of these videos right here. And until next time, I'm Fernando, and I'm out of here, everybody. Peace.